Call to order the President and Board of Trustees. Roll call.
Trustee Benucci?
Here.
Trustee Fay?
Here.
Trustee Lamb?
Here.
Trustee Peck? Trustee Rassich? Mayor Collins?
Here. Rise for the pledge, please.
Presidential comments?
Well, we have a proclamation. Whereas 134 rail grade crossing crashes resulted in 50 personal injuries and were responsible for 21 fatalities in the state of Illinois during 2014, and whereas 54 trespassing incidents have occurred in the state of Illinois, resulting in 35 pedestrians being killed and another 19 injured while trespassing on railroad property rights of way during 2014, and whereas Illinois ranks second in the nation in grade crossing fatalities and third in trespassing fatalities for 2014, and whereas 2,280 rail grade crossing crashes resulted in 832 personal injuries and were responsible for 267 fatalities nationwide during 2014, and whereas 945 trespassing incidents have occurred nationwide, resulting in 526 pedestrians being killed and another 419 injured while trespassing on railroad property rights of way during 2014, and whereas over 50% of the crashes that public grade crossings occur where active warning devices exist, and whereas safe driving and public awareness of dangers associated with rail grade crossings and the right-of-way could result in less fatalities and injuries, whereas it is important observance is the village priority and will lead to greater safety awareness and reduction in rail grade crossing collisions and trespassing incidents, whereas the Illinois Operation Lifesaver declares its support for Train Safety Awareness Week. Now, therefore, I, Michael Collins, Mayor of the Village of Plainfield, do hereby extend greetings and best wishes to all those observing April 22nd through May 2nd, 2015 as Train Safety Awareness Week. Sergeant Munson, do you want to receive this? Or? And I know how talkative you are, so.
Well, if you ask my chief, I'll talk a little bit too much. I'm hit or miss. Sometimes I talk a lot, sometimes I don't. I appreciate your support.
Yeah.
Get there. Real safe.
Stands over.
No, all good.
Okay. Thank you for those kind words. That's all I have. Okay, we're also seeking board consideration of a motion to approve and reappoint Jeff Cook to the Police Pension Board with a term expiring April 30th, 2017, and Richard Kiefer to the Planning Commission with a term expiring April 30th, 2018.
So move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Trustees' comments?
You know, I'd like to make a comment in regard to a particular community project in the village of Plainfield in 2 weeks, on May the 2nd and May the 3rd. We're going to have really a large community project. It's called the Big Serve. There are a number of organizations, churches that are involved in this. If you're a member of one of these, Community Christian Church, the Village of Plainfield, Plainfield United Methodist Church, Hope United Methodist Church, and the whole gaggle of community organizations. What the Big Serve is a whole concept of, I think the best way to phrase it is how you can change your community for the better. I can remember, this is a little bit of history and you have to bear with it. I can remember years back when John F. Kennedy delivered his very first inaugural address, his very first and only inaugural address, when he said, ask not what you can do for, what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And I extend that a little bit by saying what you can do for your community. Malcolm X, African-American activist, said, don't be part of the problem, be part of the solution. We have an awful lot of situations that need solutions in our community. An awful lot of people need help. There are projects, if you go on to the Big Serve sign up, and this is, I'm gonna give you the website. It's called thebigserve.info. And what you can do is investigate the site, look for a project, you can sign yourself up, and then what's even better yet, on Sunday afternoon, we're going to have a big picnic over at Plainfield Central High School. And everybody's invited. We're going to celebrate on May the 3rd at the end with a free picnic at Plainfield Central High School. You can go on the information site again, thebigserve.info. Mr. Murphy told me that over 500 people have already registered for particular jobs to do. And there's a myriad of things that you can get involved in. Cleanup of the DuPage River. How about working down at Daybreak Shelter, cleaning the kitchen area? You can work at the food pantry, et cetera, sorting food. There are all sorts of jobs that you can do, and you only have to do it for 2 or 3 hours. If you have any community work you have to do for your church or a particular organization, it's a great opportunity to get hours in. Plus, you'll feel good about doing something. It's really a community outreach. And as I said, Mr. Murphy said over 500 people have signed up. We still have 2 weeks to go, and it's going to be on May the 2nd and May the 3rd. And Mr. Murphy, would you like to add something?
I'll take Mr. Munson's direction and say you've done a very good job covering it, sir.
Okay. And as well, in final, it's short-term volunteerism, but it will make you feel good about doing it. Thank you.
I would like to speak about another community event that took place this last Saturday here at the riverfront. It was the Ride for the River. We had just over 50 cyclists riding a 30-mile loop out to Platteville and back. The weather cooperated and we had not a single incident, so I'm very grateful for the organizers and those who helped out. Thank you.
Are there any other trustee comments? Not, this would be the time for public comments. Please come to the podium and state your name for the record.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Vicki Polito. I had hoped to only speak on one topic tonight, and I'm going to start with that. I wanted to take this opportunity to recognize and thank Trustee Fay, who I know will not be serving on the board after this month. And I just wanted to say, Paul, I'll call you Paul. Many times I've disagreed with you or shaken my head and thought, oh, good Lord, what is Paul talking about now? But I have to say, I've thought your service has always been done with respect for others, with respect for yourself and the community, and I've always felt at least good coming away from having a discussion with you that I was listened to. And I appreciate your time serving on the board, and thank you very much for that. Secondly, and I had really hoped to only say that, and I'll try to be fast on this, 2 things that I noticed. One, speaking of rail safety, I don't know how many people got caught up in this, but once again, the signals for CNN at 127th Street last Thursday, the 16th, at about 5 p.m., westbound signal down, the gate down, lights flashing, eastbound up. A lot of evasive maneuvers by cars because people were backed up to Van Dyke Road at about 5:15, 5:30 at night. This just obviously continues to be a problem. I only keep bringing it up because people are going to have to keep trying to address this clearly. I know it's a much bigger problem than the village has control over, although there are some railroad things you can do. But again, rush hour, 5 o'clock, people driving like nuts over that median because they've got to, get home, making U-E's on the tracks, cutting one another off. It's ridiculous. And the last thing I want to mention was I see here on the agenda that in Public Works, that the Fazio Corporation is the low bidder at $59K for a landscaping gig this year. Fazio is one of those 3 contractors that we had who let us down during the snow removal in February, if I'm not mistaken. I'd like to maybe hear a little more about that. Why are we rewarding them? Low bid, saving money, to me, doesn't balance out very well against getting ripped off. So low bid or not, I don't know why we're rewarding these guys with a summer gig when they let us down with the winter job. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments? Not, then we'll proceed with the business meeting. We're seeking a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda. Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich? Thank you, that motion carries. We're seeking a motion to approve the consent agenda to include minutes of the board meeting held on April 6th, bills paid and bills payable reports for April 20th, cash and investments, revenue and expenditure reports for March, and ordinance number 3211, creating a Class U liquor license for Warehouse 109.
So move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve items A through D under the consent agenda. Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Thank you, that motion carries. Next item on the agenda is 2015 Harvest 5K Run. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to authorize the road closures as identified in the staff report for the 2015 Harvest 5K Run to be held on Sunday, September 27th.
That is my motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on this item?
Chief, one question. The homecoming parade's that weekend, too. That only leaves them half a day to set up for the 5K run. Is that sufficient in your opinion?
It is. We asked them that question specifically if they had enough time to set up, and they assured us they did.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions? Not, the motion was made and seconded to authorize the road closures as identified in the staff report for the 2015 Harvest 5K Run. Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Thank you, that motion carries. Next item on the agenda is 15018 South Bartlett Avenue, Certificate of Appropriateness. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to approve a certificate of appropriateness for 15018 South Bartlett Avenue.
So move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on this item?
One comment. I attended the HPC meeting where this was discussed, and I applaud the homeowner for coming in and discussing it, and I think things turned out very well. There's one thing I think as far as the building, Dean, you may want to, they address the rails. They're not having rails on these steps. Is that okay from a building code point of view?
I could look into it, but at the time it was.
Well, maybe Michael's already looked into it. As part of the HPC recommendations.
Yes, staff will work with the building department to try to address the applicant's request, and as long as it is consistent with the building department's policies, we'll work with the applicant on that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that the design was nice. I think they lowered it to the point where it probably should not be an issue, but it's worth double checking because we do want people to be safe. But I just love the idea that they responding to the historical nature and trying to maintain that image down there. So the applicant deserves a lot of credit for coming in.
Are there any other comments or questions? Not, the motion was made and seconded to approve a certificate of appropriateness for 15018 South Bartlett Avenue. Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich? Thank you, that motion carries. Administrators report?
None tonight.
Management services report?
No report.
Engineers report?
No report.
Planning department report?
Yes, very briefly, you have in your packet the 2015 zoning map. Consistent with our policy, we bring a new zoning map each year to the village board for approval. This map does incorporate several zoning changes which were approved by the village board in 2014. So consistent with our policy, I'm looking for a approval of the new 2015 zoning map for the village of Plainfield.
I motion we approve the zoning map.
Second. I have a question, though, Michael. If somebody comes in and wants to get a copy of this, are we going to give them the small one, which is almost illegible, or are we going to give them the big one, which is delightful?
We unfortunately there is some basically printing costs as it relates to the large copies. So historically, they've always been for sale for $10. As you know, we do, as a courtesy, give the smaller maps. We also have it online, so you have an opportunity to basically maneuver and to look at a particular section. So if you can't look at 11 by 17, you have an opportunity to go online, or you could purchase it for $10.
Well, the map itself may be fun. The thing I loved about I think for the first time you put the, what you can do in each one of the areas. And the big one you can actually read it, the small one you can't, but that's available elsewhere as well.
That's correct.
But putting both on the same thing is really a nice innovation, so nice piece of work this year.
That's GIS, so Andrew did a
Yeah.
nice job on that.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions? Now, the motion was made and seconded to approve the zoning map for 2015. Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Building Department report?
I just have the operations report for March. Be happy to answer any questions.
Public Works report?
Thank you. The first item that I have is related to the Route 59 landscaping maintenance contract. This is an item that the board had talked about previously as part of the budget process. This includes not only the mowing of this section, and please keep in mind, and you'll see on the exhibit here, that this is actually a little over a 7-mile stretch of roadway along Route 59 that includes a maintenance of the medians in the center, as well as the right-of-way on either side of the roadway. So there's an extensive amount of property that needs to be maintained, just as far as the lawn cutting is concerned and the debris pickup as well. Also included in this is freshening up the landscaping, and we know from, just some of our reports and just seeing it ourselves that the viaduct is an area that really needs some attention. There's some weeds that need to be taken care of. New wood chips need to be installed, and some of the plantings need to be trimmed and taken care of. That's part of this program. Wood chips and bed shaping would take place at each one of the trees and the plantings. There's some other areas that need some more intensive work along the corridor, namely Route 30 in the area of the funeral home that needs some attention on a regular basis, as well as other areas within the corridors. We believe that this is a good opportunity to have an outside contractor come in and really freshen up the Route 59, similar to the way we're handling the refresh downtown, but they'll also be taking care of the property for the entire summer. So that, in essence, is an outline of the work that'll be provided. We did receive 2 bids. If I recall correctly, just to try and answer a question that has already arisen, I don't believe that that Fazio was awarded a contract with the village for snow removal. They may have been utilized after we were in the thick of it, and there are contractors that use other subcontractors. So I'm confident that Fazio was not one of the contractors that the village had a contract with was for snow removal for this past year. Now, that's not to say that we didn't have them as a contractor in previous years, but we haven't had any problems with them as far as their work performance is concerned. So I'll be happy to answer any questions related to this, but this is consistent with a budget discussion that we had with the board.
I move we authorize this contract, landscape maintenance contract to Fazio Landscaping in the amount of $59,340.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
The next slide is really kind of an overview from back when we talked about the budget. We talked about vehicle replacement and equipment replacement, specifically for Public Works. And we actually have kind of an elaborate spreadsheet that shows how old the equipment is getting and when things need to be replaced and that nature, and came up with a number somewhere between $250,000 and $300,000. So I'm thankful that the board has budgeted money both last year and this year for equipment replacement in the neighborhood of $250,000. And part of that replacement is purchasing a new larger truck. This would be one of our larger trucks, and Michael, if you want to go to the next slide, this picture is actually hard to see in here. Where should go to? Are we on the replacement or the repair? We're on the repair? I'm sorry. I'm out of order here. But please don't call me out of order, Mayor. Let me step back for a minute. Part of the vehicle replacement program is also maintaining the existing equipment that we have. So the first item, or the second item that we have within the report is request for Kreider Enterprises to complete the repair of the dump body on this truck that you see here. I know it's hard to see in the audience, but it's very rusty and needs some parts replaced, steel parts members replaced from the body. This includes the replacement of these rusted parts and also the painting of the dump body as a whole. Kreider provided the low quote at $7,200. This truck is approximately 13 years old. It's one of our trucks that we use for snow plowing as well as main brake repair and things of that nature. And we anticipate that we typically get about 20 years out of one of these larger units. So we believe this is a good investment in keeping it on the road. So I'll be happy to answer that, but we've received 3 proposals for that, and the low bidder was Kreider at $7,200.
I move we authorize Kreider Enterprises to complete the required repairs on the six-wheeler dump truck at a total cost of $7,200.
Second.
That motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Thank you. And the last item that I have is related to the purchase of a new piece of equipment. We talked about that a little bit during the budget process, and also I'd shown the slide about replacements. This picture that you see here is actually one of our newest units. This one is a 2007 Sterling truck, so it's approximately 8 years old. It's in very good condition. This would be very similar to the truck that we're seeking to purchase. The money has already been reserved within the budget, the coming year budget, May 1st. The bid that was provided as part of the Winnebago County bid. It's a joint co-op bid that's provided. Since it's technically not a state purchase bid, and this truck is not offered under the state purchase bid program, but offered under this co-op program, there is a request in here to waive the bidding, but be assured that it was initially bid, and this is a price that's been provided to all agencies, even outside of Winnebago County. Now, this unit will add an additional unit to our fleet. We also have another unit of similar size, actually same size, that'll be in anytime now. It's supposed to be in before May 1st, and we'll add an additional unit to our fleet. So we'll have 2 new units added to our fleet to help take care of snow removal in the future. We'll have some older units that will retire in the future, but as long as they're passing the safety lane, we'll retain them for emergencies like we had during the blizzard condition this past winter. So I'll be happy to answer any questions related to this. If the order is placed tomorrow, this truck will be ready by the end of October for the village to use for the coming winter season.
One question, Alan. The difference between the 2 bids is a rather large sum for equipment. I assume that's the snowplow equipment, the Bunnell versus Henderson. Do we see a difference between the two? We have experience with both of these, or only one of them, or?
Yeah, typically Henderson is the standard as far as the package is concerned. The other one comes with some more bells and whistles, but we really don't see an increase in productivity or performance. You know, you get more electronics with the other bid, and this one actually the mechanics prefer the Henderson system because it's been our experience that it's been more dependable.
Thank you. I was curious about the subtle differences between the two. So
I move we waive the bidding and authorize the purchase of a 2016 Peterbilt Model 348 snowplow from JX Enterprises at the total cost of $158,983.11.
Second.
That motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Before we move away from the Public Works report, I'd like to ask Mr. Person a specific question, if he could possibly do this in the future. You know, oftentimes, departments bring, especially with the Public Works Department having an awful lot of different types of equipment, snow removal, lawnmowers, et cetera, whatever you have in your department, which is extensive. I was wondering if you could possibly, perhaps at a committee of the whole meeting, give the board an overview of, the responsibilities of your equipment, the breakdown, I'm not trying to put too many rocks in your pack, what the responsibilities, how long you possibly try to keep something in operation. There is wear and tear, not only on just in equipment because the seasonal things, but also they wear out because of the size of our community. And I was wondering if you could possibly do that sometime, not in the near future, but sometime in the future. Oftentimes the community will question, why are we buying trucks continually? We must have the newest fleet in northern Illinois. Well, that's not necessarily the truth, but yet if you give an overview sometime, I think it would really be not only beneficial to us, but also to the community.
Thank you. I
And
would
thank
be
you.
happy to do that. Thank you.
Police Chief's report.
Thank you. The first item I have on the agenda is seeking board's consideration to purchase 4 portable radios. We currently have Motorola XTS 5000 radios that are over 9 years old, and Motorola is no longer producing these models, and ultimately we won't even be able to get spare parts for them anymore. So we are looking to get the next upgrade for our Starcom system that we currently operate, and that would be the APX 6000 model. This money was budgeted in the current budget. It is a state bid amount, so that's the reason why we just have the one bid in here, as it would be consistent with any offer that we have. So I am seeking board's consideration to purchase 4 Motorola APX 6000 portable radios from ABEEP in the amount of $18,164.
So move.
Second.
That motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Thank you. I also have the police department operations report for March of 2015. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I have one question, Chief. Texting and cell phone use while driving. 2 years ago, it was very few. Last 2 years, 54 and 57. These, I believe, are $250 tickets.
I believe that's correct.
Are we
yes.
stopping people when they get involved stop for some other reason, or are we seeing people driving with them and we're stopping them just because of this alone?
We're stopping them just for this alone in selective areas. One of the places we're going to be hitting hard here shortly is the Route 30 construction area. Obviously, anywhere you drive, you shouldn't be using a cell phone as you're driving, but particularly in school zones and construction zones. So we do target specific enforcement on cell phones in certain areas. However, we will write a citation anywhere that we observe it. But just a word of warning to the public, those in attendance and those on TV, we are going to be hitting the Route 30 area very heavily coming up with the construction that's going to be going on over the next 2 years. So
Perhaps we can use our students in the audience to be missionaries on the subject, because it really is a dangerous habit, and it can be a very expensive one too if you.
Absolutely, and education is the first step we always take in any traffic law that we try to enforce. But in the absence of people getting the message, then we will move to the enforcement part.
Thank you.
Oftentimes we always allude to the fact that it's always young people who are texting, who are talking on the telephone. You know what my observation is that I think more older folks are doing it. They're rushing home from work. They're trying to do this, especially in the early morning hours or late hours. It is not always just young people who are texting, and they get a bad rap for it oftentimes.
You're
And,
absolutely right. I do not have the statistics with me right now, but I could guarantee you that you would see just as many adults, older adults, with that violation as you would school-age adults as well.
My sample would indicate that's correct, and mostly in the 30 to 45 range, I would think. They're rushing home on the busy activities and come up to a stop sign talking. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Last thing, I would just like to place a reminder out there that our next chat with the chiefs, which is our open forum, people can come and ask questions and inquire and learn about public safety in Plainfield. That'll be on Wednesday, this Wednesday, April 22nd, beginning at 7 p.m. at the Fire District Headquarters on 135th Street, east of Route 59. And that's all I have. Thank you.
You know, Chief, one last thing, if I could, Pima did an awful lot of work during our past storm. I just have to compliment an individual who wrote a really a fun type of article in Joliet Herald, in the Herald News. One of our reporters that always attends our meetings, Vika Shankar. I can't ask him to come to a microphone, but if you get an opportunity, look, read his article. He went out with the spotters and wrote kind of a neat little article about the service and what is being done. And I think you got to get on the front lines every once in a while in order to appreciate what Pima is doing and what our police department, fire department, all of our departments are doing. And it's just, that was really a wonderful service that night. It kept an awful lot of people out of distress during a distressful time.
You're absolutely right. We've actually put an offer out to all our media outlets that we typically work with. Vikash took us up on the offer to come out and see what actually goes into our weather spotting. At a previous meeting, we had talked about that particular storm, what happened, and I stand by my statement that we were very, very lucky here in Plainfield that we didn't have anything go on. Unfortunately, maybe for Vikash's story, it wasn't as spectacular as maybe he may have been looking for, but that's okay. I don't need spectacular all the time. But he got a behind-the-scenes look, especially with our volunteers, our EMA volunteers that go out there, and they put themselves in harm's way really to protect the village during that serious event and all serious events that we have. So thank you for that recognition. That's all I have. Thank you.
Attorney's report,
No report this evening, thank you.
reminders.
April 21st is our planning commission meeting at 7. April 27th, the next committee to hold at 7. 4th be our next regular board meeting.
We're seeking a motion to adjourn to executive session as permitted under the Open Meetings Act under Section 2C1 to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of employees or legal counsel not to reconvene. Motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay? Yes. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich? Thank you. That motion carries.
If the student needs his form signed, bring it up to the front, please.